We are live, Denny. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am great. So, Denny, it's been a little while since I last saw you out in Orlando for
Yes.
HealthCon. And we have another event coming up in October. I just booked my flight this morning for HealthCon Regional in San Diego. Are you headed to that?
I am. I am dragging my feet. I keep looking at flights. I need to just book it.
Yep. Are you speaking or presenting at all?
I'm not. I got out of that one this time.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll give you a little room to hang out, go running with me a little bit.
Yep. I just get to come play this time.
Awesome. Awesome. Denny, so we are live, and as we get our guests and our viewers joining us, they'll start rolling in soon. Let us know where you are if you're watching. Denny, tell us a little bit about yourself, or maybe you are brand new to the NAB or
I
our
am.
National Advisory Board. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, all of those great things.
Well, I'm from Minneapolis, or the Minnesota area. Technically, I live in the middle of the state, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Anybody that knows me thinks I moved to Timbuktu. Um, I have been in the medical billing coding world for about 25 years. I work for a small medical billing company. I am the vice president of revenue cycle operations. So I'm in charge of coding, billing, credentialing, kind of the whole package. So I kind of supervise everybody that's doing everything. Um, and kind of supervise and kind of spearhead whatever's running around. I help onboard and offboard all of our incoming and outgoing clients. Um, Kind of got my start in OTPT speech pediatric practice and then kind of outgrew that and moved on from there and then have kind of worked in all different practices with the third party practice from there. So um, through all of that, I've gotten to grow up in all different positions, starting with billing and then got to move into coding and denial management and have kind of experienced it all. So nothing is too small. We'll kind of talk about that later on today, but
Yeah.
yeah, get your feet in the door where you can and kind of grow from there.
Okay. All right. I'm curious, Denny, like what led you to this field? Like, did you have a family member who was doing it, or did you just stumble upon it?
No, actually, when I graduated high school, I was going to be a high school band director and got all the way to my student teaching and went, yeah, see you later. Turned and got my accounting degree. I was working in an accounting office at my first medical job was a integrated preschool that had they took typically developing children and had a integrated um, OTPT speech mental health practice in that same school. And I did the accounting for that office, and they had somebody else that did their medical billing. They had taken on a medical waiver type program through the state and went from a $0 budget to $1 million budget in a very, very short time. And so the person that was going to do this program that they thought was going to be very small originally um, so it was just going to assimilate into her job. Couldn't just assimilate into her job anymore. I had a little bit of extra time, so they decided I was going to do that with my typical accounting world. Well, it kind of went from there. So that's kind of how it started. But through all of that, she had things down so that it was if you were billing speech, you used this CPT code and this diagnosis code. If you were billing PT, you used one CPT code for that and you used one diagnosis code. And she handed me these big books and went, here you go. And I went, well, what do I need those for if I'm using one code for this and one code for that? Well, you just do. Well, I'm a why person. So why didn't answer it for me. So I went back to school and I learned there was a lot more to you just do than one and one didn't work the way she was doing it, well, things changed real fast. And like I said, I fixed things there and I outgrew that position. And then I moved to medical billing at a third party billing company. And I started fixing things at the medical billing company that weren't working for them either, things that they weren't able to get denials paid. And I'm like, well, that's because you got the wrong modifier. You can't build those two together. You can't this has to have that. And I started fixing things that way too, and answering questions that that billing company at the time couldn't because they'd never had a coder. They had always just been billing and had a really surface knowledge. And so things kind of grew from there. Um, so no, I medical billing wasn't anything I ever knew. I had an
Yeah.
accounting degree. What did I know? Um, so
Well, I
yeah,
love that music education. So what was your primary instrument?
I didn't have one.
So what did you play in high school?
Clarinet, bass clarinet, flute, piccolo, trumpet,
Okay, woodwind.
piano,
Oh,
percussion.
a little bit of everything. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
I
I was on that path too. I actually did a lot of substitute teaching in music departments in Utah because I had that dream. And then I think subbing kind of was like the slap in the face that woke me up and said, "Hey, maybe this isn't the right path for you." But
yep.
I still love music. Denny, if we were to go on a road trip, oh, first off, I'm gonna ask you this question in just a sec. Everybody, this is AAPC Social Hour, so we're so glad you're with us. Let us know where you're at if you're watching. I've got Denny Adams from the National Advisory Board. Unfortunately, Dave Kaiser cannot be with us today. He's feeling under the weather. He's got a crazy midsummer cold. He said he's coughing a lot, so we hope he gets well. Dave, if you're watching, get well soon, my friend. Denny, if we were to go on a road trip, and I said, you're in charge of the playlist, you're my DJ. What would we be listening to?
Uh, Either classical or Christian.
Okay. Well, when you say Christian, that covers a big gamut.
It
Like
does.
Christian, like a Christian rock or like soft rock or easy listening.
Probably contemporary Christian.
Okay. All right. Uh, I want to dig back into now that I know this about you, when we're in San Diego, we're gonna have to unpeel the layers of your musical side. I'm excited about that. We've got Leslie Gerard from Baton Rouge with us. Hey, Leslie, thanks for joining us. Julia Garcia. Speaking of hot, she's in Arizona, and I can't imagine how warm it is there. Julia, what's the temperature in Arizona today? Ann Smith from Florida. Hey, Ann, thanks for joining us. We have a great broadcast today. In just a minute, we're going to bring on Lindsey Bush, who wrote an article in the magazine, AAPC The Magazine, called "Maintaining Office Compliance with HIPAA Tips." And then we've got a panel that includes Denny and other National Advisory Board members talking about no job too small and the different roles there are that can help people get into the revenue cycle and maybe even beyond. That's what surprises me, Denny, is I think many people will come into medical coding thinking, I want to be a coder. And
Mhm.
then they step their foot through the door and they see, whoa, there are all these different directions I can go with my CPC.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's wide open. And you're right. Everybody comes in and they're like, I'm going to be a coder. And I'm like, step back for a second. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so many places to go and so many important roles for coders that you don't think about.
for sure. For sure. Julia in Arizona says it's 104 out there today.
Oh,
Ouch. Ouch. We've been in the 90s in Utah, and that's enough. I couldn't imagine 10 degrees more. We've got Harini from Leesburg, Virginia, Teresa Bryant from Charlottesville, Virginia, our good friend Lori Jaramillo from Broomfield, Colorado. Hey, Lori, my neighbor, state neighbors. And then Ann Smith is giving us a listen today. Just glad to have you guys with us. Denny, we're gonna bring in Lindsey.
Okay.
and talk about the HIPAA stuff that she recently wrote about. So, HIPAA, but we've had to manage that for what, 20, 25 years or so. Hey, Lindsay,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. You are live on AAPC Social Hour, but don't think of all the amazing people who are watching. Just it's just the three of us. We're going to have an awesome conversation. First off, Lindsay, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. I went to Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is my hometown, and that's where I received my bachelor's in English. And then I went to UW-Eau Claire for my master's, also in English. And after not finding anything in my field for years and years, I heard about medical coding and decided to get an online certification for medical coding. And then after years of working in insurance and healthcare claims, I was hired at AAPC for as a development editor, which kind of took all my experience together as, wrapped it into one with a giant bow. So that was awesome. It was awesome to get hired here and be able to take everything I've learned and use it in one job. So that was awesome.
Awesome. And you've been with us for about 2 years at
Yeah.
AAPC?
Yes.
Okay. And we talked about this offline, guys, just so everybody watching knows, Lindsay and I just met, and that's like right part of the challenge of working in a virtual workspace is we don't get to interact in the office, but I saw your article. I thought, let's talk about HIPAA and get Lindsay in. Now, Lindsay, before you came on, Denny kind of shared a little secret about her past about having a desire to be a band teacher.
Oh yeah.
And did you tell us a little bit about something about yourself before we hit the HIPAA article that may be unique and were you in high school band maybe?
I used to be in orchestra.
Okay.
Close
I
All
enough.
right. What did
I played
yeah,
violin. Yep.
awesome, awesome. And do you still play the
I
violin?
don't. I was actually in a punk band and I played
Oh,
bass after
whoa.
that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh,
So
holy cow.
I
Okay,
still dabble.
this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. Okay, so who's your favorite punk band, Lindsay?
Um, oh, that's tough. The Ramones, maybe?
Okay, you can't lose there. You can't
Right.
lose there. Okay. Well, we have a question from Leslie Gerard. We'll get to your question, Leslie, in just a minute. We're going to talk about Lindsay's article, Maintain Office Compliance with These HIPAA Tips. Now, Lindsay, was this article an assignment or something that you stumbled on and thought, hey, let's get our members' offices up to speed on HIPAA and what's happening lately?
I have kind of a unique role in my area where I fill in where there are gaps every month with RCI. So I originally wrote it for compliance back in I think back in February, and then we decided it would be useful for other readers in the magazine as well. So I just think cybersecurity and HIPAA concerns are always relatable to anyone and everyone working in an environment where we're always accessing email, using the internet on a daily basis. So I really just try to write pieces that are useful to all levels of coders and people in every facet of coding when I can.
Okay. When when I think of HIPAA, I don't instantly go to cybersecurity. I think of like around the office, the physical space.
Hmm.
And Denny, I'm sure has a perspective on that as well. But what can you tell us about the cybersecurity part? Like what should offices know and how should they be treating their digital assets?
That was for me, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Um, I think it's all about slowing down when you're using email, especially if you're attaching anything related to patient information or HIPAA information. So PHI, HIPAA, always slow down, make sure it's encrypted if you can. Make sure it's going to the person it's intended for. Always check and recheck where it's going to. I think slowing down is super important, especially when we have people have quotas to meet every day. I know everybody, has to pump out work faster and faster in work environments, and that can make people sloppy unintentionally. And I think that's where people slip up by accident, and that can get you into trouble.
Okay. Looking at your tip number one, reinforce your software systems.
Hmm.
These are like, to me, it's like, oh, of course I would keep my my software current with the
Yep.
latest updates, but sometimes we can let that fall aside. And I guess if someone like Denny probably has a great IT department to help you stay current with that. But is that a common theme, do you think, for either of you? Is that common for offices that use outdated software that may not be HIPAA compliant?
I think it depends on the size of the practice. I mean, for us, we work with a lot of small independent practices. And I think what I've found in speaking with chapters across the country is those practices that are super small have a hard time keeping up with, in any aspect of their business, a lot of the regulations. And that can include software updates and IT requirements and any aspect of, could be even the code changes of, something changed and oh my gosh, I have to keep up with that on top of everything else that's coming at them day to day. And so
Mhm.
it can be completely unintentional of, oops, that went out and I didn't mean to send it unencrypted. Or, oops, there was an IT update that needed to happen and I missed it and now something got through malware that shouldn't have. Or so I think a lot of times things happen that are completely unintentional. And it's easier to keep up on those when you work for a bigger company because you have more people and more manpower to keep up on it, that the smaller guys sometimes have a harder time keeping up on.
Yeah.
Not to give them an excuse, but just less people, less, more to do.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep. You talk about, I'm going to skip to tip three. I mean, you talk about email and tip two, specific email training, but I'm going to tie in tip two and three together because you talk about avoiding real world traps and
Hmm.
those impersonating legitimate companies. I feel like that this might be the biggest vulnerability is getting those emails that are fake but
Hmm.
may look real and get some private information. What can you tell us about that, and what did you learn about how to handle that, Lindsay, in your article?
I was thinking actually back to what AAPC does to us as employees, where they send out the fake phishing emails, and I've almost fallen for a few of those myself. May have fallen for one or two since I
I
started.
have twice. I have
Right,
twice.
yeah, and then I always
Because
feel really dumb.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, with that, I would recommend if you're in a position of power to send those emails out, do it because it will keep employees on their toes. It will train them what to look for. It can be something as simple as an exclamation point in place of an I in somebody's name, where you're just not looking for it and it looks legitimate and you open it and now you have a virus on your computer or now they're able to access your information through that virus, that kind of thing. But yeah, there are fake companies out there that act legitimate, that are trying to offer services to your office that aren't even legitimate, and they just want to take your money or access your files, which is pretty scary.
Mhm.
Spam filters are not 100%
Hmm.
reliable and
Right.
things slip through. And I know that, Lindsay, like can very clearly remember falling for an email that said from Bevan Erickson, our president.
Yep.
And me, I don't even know what I did, but I knew when I fell into that trap, I was like, no.
I got one the other day that was from HR at, and it was our domain address. And I almost fell for it, except for the fact that I knew we don't have an internal email address that's HR at.
Mm.
And the rest of the email was so well worded, and I'm sure it was a phishing one, but oh my gosh, I almost fell for it. They're so well worded.
Right.
Yep. Yep. So, but that's great training to help keep us on our toes, just like Lindsay was saying. I love that. And even though I felt dumb both times,
Right? I think we've all fallen
I,
for it once
Right.
or
yeah.
twice.
Yeah. So, but you do stay on your toes. So if your office doesn't have something like that, I would definitely look into that because I feel like even personally, that can be a big vulnerability, in your
Mhm.
personal emails. And when you get like a fake UPS
Mhm.
message, and but you're literally expecting a package. So,
And they're doing that with
um,
text messages now too. The
Mhm.
fake
you,
texts now too with
yes,
yeah.
And I don't know
yeah,
what everybody's internal processes are. I know for us personally, if we question them, we're allowed to send them up to our IT people and just ask, is this
yes,
scam?
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a penalty for that, where if you respond back to it with whatever they're asking you for,
Yeah.
that's the penalty. Versus if you send it back to HR or to IT and you're like,
Mhm.
is this? That's not penalized. So we can respond back to IT versus the wherever they're asking you to send back to.
Yeah.
So,
I think IT should offer prizes for those who send that up. You escalate it to them,
yep. If we delete it, that's, kudos or whatever, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
not penalized if we send it back to IT and
yeah,
ask the question for at least questioning.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
yeah,
penalty there. It's when we respond back, like, fail.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just thinking about, we kind of talked about the end process of emails, the emails that come through, but like going back to tip two and email specific training, um, the first bullet should be a no-brainer, I think. Disable automatic downloads. You do not want that at all.
Right. Anytime you just have the automatic downloads set to on, you're opening yourself up to start, letting those viruses come in, letting inappropriate pictures open up, any of those NSF not safe for work. Any of that can appear on your computer, which can get you into trouble with HR, get you into trouble with IT. Yeah, all sorts of things. So I would definitely recommend turning that off if you're able to on your
Yeah,
computer, or ask IT if you want to see if it's not something easily found in your settings. I would talk to IT about that and turn that off.
yeah, I agree. And you talk about encryption and using a cloud-based service or email protection.
Mhm.
So, and those are things I would hope that your IT department is looking into for you if they haven't already. And I love, Denny, you brought up, it may depend on the size of your service. If you're working for a mom and pop type clinic in rural, who knows where,
Mhm.
you may not have the protection that a bigger company may have. But with that, your very last bullet in point two is just stay vigilant, and that goes across the board for all digital assets and interactions. Just stay diligent. You say even emails appearing to come from known colleagues may not be genuine,
Mhm.
as attackers can mimic familiar email addresses. So just stay on your toes with those things.
Right.
Denny, what have you seen as far as the evolution of HIPAA? Because we talked about how this has been a policy for 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
What have you seen or how have you seen HIPAA evolve over the years? Has it become more tight, more stringent?
Mm, a little bit. Well, what I remember as a kid, pre-HIPAA, because my mom was an ER nurse. I remember my mom came home from work one night and she woke me up and she goes, "Hey, do you remember?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know who that is." She goes, "Well, not anymore." And it
Oh,
was a kid that had passed away. It was no big deal at the time. She could come home and tell me that because HIPAA didn't exist. And now I think about it and I'm like, she couldn't have done that in today's world. There's no way she could tell me about that. And I remember it was a small community because, whatever, but she used to come home and she used to make, 1 day a week she worked for a gastroenterologist, and she would do phone calls from home to the patients that they were going to see the next day at clinic. And she would make the same phone call to all of these patients every week on that specific day. And she called, "Hey, this is Candy so and so from, the hospital, and we're going to be doing such and such a procedure." And I heard every single phone call every single week. I could have told you who those patients were for the next, and I knew most of them. It was a small town. You can't do any of that at home anymore. So I'm thinking about all of this as an adult now and in HIPAA's world, and I'm like, And then, you think through like as HIPAA was starting and how big of a deal it was. And I remember going to all of these trainings and I'm like, oh my God, we can't do this. And I don't understand what HIPAA, like the enormity of it. And now it's just kind of today's world is like, okay, and so is it more stringent? No, I think we've learned to live with it. I think we've all learned what it is. I think patients are just kind of like, this is what it is, no big deal. I think it's just kind of become normal today.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
And it's so necessary,
right?
right? We get it now.
We
More
get
so.
it. It's just today's world. Now that doesn't mean that we don't all break the rules and things happen and there's still repercussions. I don't think it's gotten more stringent. I think we've all just gotten lax. So I think there are times where people have gotten too lax about it and then you get in trouble, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think it's become more stringent. I think it's
Yeah.
just we've gotten too lax at times, and then we get our fingers
Well,
slapped and we have to tighten the
yeah.
ropes again and be reminded that, hey, this is what we need to be doing, and this is for our own, betterment and
Yes.
protection. I think we
Well,
all
we
need
have
a good reminder on a routine
Yeah.
basis.
HIPAA has stood firm, but the
Mhm.
world around it has changed. And that's where Lindsay's article comes in, just addressing the current world environment as the digital space evolves and those who are actively trying to break through and steal information,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to protect ourselves from
Right.
those situations. So
Yep. I think we all just need a very constant reminder of, hey, this is the rule, and stay constant around it, because it changes constantly. Like just
yeah.
like everything else, how people are trying to get around it is constantly changing. And so we need to just remind ourselves this is still the rule
Yes.
and to
Well,
be
Lindsay,
vigilant. Yes.
uh, Lindsay, we're out of time.
Okay.
But thank you so much for talking about HIPAA with us for a little bit and keeping us on our toes. So maybe you and I, at least at the AAPC National Office, will know how to navigate those tricky emails our IT department sends.
Yeah.
to try to
Don't get
catch
caught
us.
again.
That's right. Okay. I
Thanks
hope
for
to
having me.
see you again, Lindsay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. She was great and just a lot to think about there. Just
There
in
is.
protecting ourselves and in all of the important private information that we come across. I'm bringing in the new group, and I'm excited about this because I have the perfect question to lead this discussion. Rita, Amy, how are you guys doing?
Very well. Great.
Good. Good to see you. Maya's back. Hey, Maya. And yeah, and we got Corella back for 2 in a row. Hi, Corella. I don't know if she can hear us. Hi,
She's
Lee.
on mute.
Yep.
Hello, hello.
All right. Well, I think Lee or Corella is working on her audio. Corella, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? She can't hear me.
I think she's just working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, can you hear me, Corella? Oh, on your phone. Okay. All right. All right. Well, you're on mute, and she says need to allow her mobile. Okay, so she's gonna get on her mobile. We went through this last time, I think. All right. Hey guys, for this group, this is a great segue into our discussion. Okay. Leslie Gerard asks, I have a question. I graduated from medical medical coding and billing school, but I was unable to pass the board test, the AAPC exam. Do you consider me starting over, or should I start entry level after I have my certification? I hope I got that right, Leslie, but she's got to pass that certification exam, right, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but with that, even though you are not certified, Leslie, I'd hit your AAPC local chapter meetings. I would start networking with professionals in your area and consider finding that entry job, that job that could lead to a full-time coding job, which leads us to our topic, no job too small. And Corella, can you hear me now? You can, but you can't talk yet. Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's get right into it. Like you guys, no job too small. We're here to highlight and talk about the roles available to certified professionals, even though they may not look like this coder position exactly how you might have envisioned. And Denny and I talked about this, about the many different ways that a coder can go throughout their career. But even to start, what are some good positions that could help someone get to that first coder job? And
Well,
I'm gonna
start.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh. One of the guys that works in the company I work for started in our office when he was 17 years old. And he started in way back when, because he's been here longer than I have, and I've been here almost 20 years. So it's been many, many years. But he started back when we all had paper charts, and he started in the box room pulling medical charts.
Mhm.
Somebody would give him a list of charts that they needed, and he'd go pull medical charts at the time. He's now one of our owners. So there is seriously no job too small to get you where you want to go in life. Don't come out of school, don't come out of getting your certification going, nope, I'm a coder, that's all I'm doing today, because
Yeah.
it's not going to get you where you want to go. Start by doing the smallest thing. The janitor at the school can still be the teacher at the end, or the principal, or the whatever. So seriously, get your foot in the door, start at the bottom and learn as you go, because you can start out. We have two employees here that literally started in our box room and are two people that are at the top of the world here. They started in our box room, they started pulling charts, and we had some extra stuff to do. We were like, oh, you want to learn how to do, insurance entry? Oh, well, let's get you doing, patient payments. Let's get you doing charge entry. Let's get you doing this. And over the years have grown. And seriously, one of them is the owner of the company right now. So get your toes in the door and start learning everything that you can along the way.
And to piggyback on that, I think a lot of us have those stories. Like, I started out as a medical receptionist at a front desk, and now, I'm a senior director. So when we talk about no job, that's, a job that's not too small, I think people sometimes need to think outside the box, right? Because now there's a lot of emphasis on revenue cycle management, and RCM has a lot of components to it. It's, healthcare access, where you're scheduling patients, or, welcoming patients into an office, or, a hospital, medical records that are electronic. You're pulling information through multiple means to create the information that your provider needs, right? And you have to know the diagnosis. You have to understand sometimes the lab information or pathology. So you really kind of start to acquire a lot of the information that you need. And, I always say, when I talk about this is, in my departments, especially, authorization specialist. An authorization specialist or an insurance specialist needs to know CPT, ICD-10. They need to understand the disease base, medical terminology. And, we've been very successful for many authorization specialists becoming, going into the coding realm in the same department, because of the fact that they understand the process. When you think about analytics, informatics. I mean, another place that you can kind of get your foot in the door from an IT perspective and build from there. So I think that when you think outside the box, it's really good. Credentialing providers, working in a GME office in any institution for medical education. And you really start to acquire a lot of these skills that are able to put you forward and, start to maybe take an extra assignment or a stretch assignment to learn something else and get that networking also that you can acquire within your own institution.
I love that. And I think about when Denny's telling her story about her one of the owners, I think about Ray. I
Yes,
believe she started by pulling records too. Is that right?
yes.
Yeah, so Ray, our president of membership, who you guys all know, had a similar start. I want to hear from Amy because she's the newest face for me, and I need to hear this voice. Amy, tell us what are your thoughts?
So I agree with Rita. I come from like a health system perspective. And there's a lot of things. The first thing I thought of when we had this conversation was, first of all, there really is no job too small. Everything's a learning opportunity. So the hardest part is getting your foot in the door. So if there's an organization where you really believe in their mission, really would love to work there, just take what you can get. Working at the front desk, you learn a whole lot there. Anything like that. It's all beneficial. It's all a learning opportunity. Um, totally agree with the authorization piece. Many of those folks are not coders, and getting the right service authorized ahead of time is really, really important, because if you don't authorize it correctly, you're not going to get paid. So knowing those codes and understanding the procedures that are being done is really, really important. Denials is another place. Anything in the billing office is a great opportunity, and you can move around. Once you get in, you can move around, so you don't have to stay there forever. But denials really, it's a really important skill. Coding is a really important skill for folks in the denials department to have. Surgery scheduling, anything like that, anything in HIM. Again, just learn, take in everything that you can in whatever position you can get, and you can transfer that to your dream job one day.
Elizabeth Hill, who's watching, she left a comment saying, I started backwards in accounts receivable with denials, just like Amy's talking about. So you're putting yourself in that environment and understanding the process. Lee, what do you think? You've come across many students and have worked in so many different roles.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'll start by saying I started as an insurance verification specialist. I had an externship where I started doing that. I did everything in that practice, moved up to practice manager, and just grew from there. So agree with what everyone here is saying. I think what I want to add, Alex, is from an education perspective and cost, I think many of our students, many of our members, sometimes when they hear start anywhere you can, or take that entry level position, part of their thinking is also, well, I spent all this money to become a coder where I can make all this, there's great opportunity, obviously, for income. And now I'm being told to start where you can start at the front door. And that's valid thoughts, valid questions. And what I often will tell these students, these members, is that it's a continued investment in yourself. So it's not, this is where I'm starting, I'm making this base salary. And like someone said earlier, this is not where you're going to be all the time or throughout your career. It's a continued investment. You're training, your education, sitting for that exam, starting in that role that is actually going to make you a better coder. Knowing the insurance plans, knowing about prior auth, knowing about lab billing, denials, all of those things are going to make you a stronger coder and ultimately get you to that income level that you want to be at. So just think of it as a continued investment when you're starting in those roles.
Yes, yes. Corella.
I don't think you can still hear me.
Oh, I can.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, first off, I wanted to tell everyone, thank you so much for jumping in on this session. And we've all started somewhere. I believe that the coding is just the foundation, like a launch pad, if you will, to launch you into greater heights. It's definitely foundational. And with that knowledge, it can be applied at so many different places. And just like Rita and Denny and Amy has already contributed all the different roles along the way, including credentialing. That's
Mhm.
another avenue, if you will, that people go through that they see the value of having that coding knowledge. But just like Lee said, and I get the same kind of question. Well, you're telling us to start at these smaller roles when, yeah, we spent X dollars and it's definitely an investment in yourself. I'm telling you, if you get started, you won't stay at that entry level. With experience, the heights come with this career. I think all of us can agree. This is not a field that you get in just because you have a doctorate that you're going to automatically get the six-figure coding job.
Yeah.
This is working with people's finance. This is working with people's money. They practice livelihoods. So they're not going to just throw this to someone that's never done it before.
Right.
So recognize the work that you're doing. I mean, codes aren't just used for financial purposes, but let's be real, that's the main thing that we are using it for. And again, no one wants a entry level as far as you've never done it before. We're going to put all of the practices, finances, and business practices into someone entry level. So this is definitely, no matter where you come from, what educational background you have, the experience is what counts in this particular profession. And so once you get that and you understand that, the sky's the limit. Start anywhere and go from there.
Mhm.
Corella said it very well. It's prove yourself as you go. And the faster you can prove yourself at the bottom, faster you're going to move up.
Right. And I would just say, and Alex, you might get to that too. Everyone's looking for a job in the same area. Like Corella said, if you're looking at your university hospital and your system that's making $1 billion, that's money they're protecting. Everyone is protecting their money, whether it's a solo practice or not. But those entities are going to be looking most likely for those coders with those years of experience, right? So where are these senior coders typically not looking for employment? And that's with sometimes the smaller practices. That's with that person who just graduated from medical school and is now opening that practice. They may not have the funding, the budget to hire a coder with 5 years of experience. They may be more willing to hire that coder that just graduated from school, got their certification, and also looking for that opportunity because they can relate. That doctor also just got degreed, just started. So that's something I did when I was starting out. I looked at my my state business board and I looked to see every single practice that was opening up. And I, back then, wrote a letter, paid for that stamp, and I mailed it out to those individuals. And honestly, I got outreach from those individuals who were willing to take a chance on me because they did not have the budget to hire that senior level coder. So like the ladies on the panel are saying, thinking outside of the box, it's not only role, it's looking at the entity that you're applying for, doing that additional research, looking to see how long that organization has been in practice, who is new, and how can you align your similarities, talking about, again, being new to the industry with that person. And you'd be surprised how much success you can have there as well.
That,
You know,
just
I
take
like-
that initiative.
Maya.
Take that initiative is the first step. That's fine.
I just wanted to say that, because no job is too small, right? I also think that whatever job you have the same passion about coding
Yeah.
when you're doing it, right? Because my first job, I started in customer service. And when I started in customer service, I talked to people, right? But again, when we think about that claim, that's the second to last part of the entire revenue cycle, right? If coders understood what happens before they get to that point, working with insurance, when they're going with the initial visit, all I'm saying is that whichever position you have, do it with a smile and act like you like people. Because guess what? If you act like you like people, they will like you, whether you're acting or not. So do it with a smile, do it with pride, and people will see your potential and take you to the next level.
I agree with that. Also, we talk about, when you learn something and you think, well, it's not really coding, so I don't know why I need to learn it, right? But somewhere along the road, what you've learned in one of these other positions will come up, and you're going to be the person that really understands it, just from some personal experience in clinical trials, right? I have a lot of experience in oncology clinical trials, so my staff does as well. And everyone's like, well, why do we need to know this? I'm like, because at some point it's going to come up, and that's what happens, right? You become that person that understands that, wow, this is how the connection happens when it comes to revenue and when we deal with some of these processes. So you learn, you do it with a smile, like Maya. I know Maya and I smile all the time. You do it with a smile, but you accept that maybe some of the things may not be what you need to know now, but you're going to take that with you, and it's going to make you a well-rounded person when you would start to apply for other jobs, like in a leadership track.
And
There's
I'll
some
also
great
say
comments.
that, and I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that customer service is the bottom line for great business. Whether it's the business of your own or if it's the business for somebody else. If you learn how to talk to people, if you learn that when you do things with a smile, people will gravitate to you and they will see your potential because you're taking pride in everything that you're doing.
Yes, I love it. There's so many great comments. Julia Garcia says, I worked as MA front desk, which customer service, right? You guys are putting out that good energy. Authorization specialist, scheduling, then went to billing. Lastly, received CPC. Everybody's path is different. There's like no cookie cutter approach to that perfect job that you're looking for in medical coding or in the revenue cycle. Susan Ulmer says, I started working front desk. Oh, what's here? Yep, I started working front desk, another customer service type of role. Moved to insurance verification, and now I'm working in medical records. I have a CPCA and CPMA. I love these stories, and you guys have shared so many great ones as well.
I think another role, Alex, that people don't think of right away is financial counseling. So my financial counselors are certified, and they deal with a lot of understanding insurance, what the person's out of pocket is, how they can apply for aid for the patient. So I think that we're in an environment now that has so many different roles that we have, you can pick, right? Like, let me try and get in with this and let me try to get into that. So it's not like you're confined to one type of job description when we do what we do.
And just to piggyback the pulling records, that seems like a minimum job, but we for the most part, on EMRs. Having all exposure to an EMR goes a long way. Goes a long way on the resume. Goes a long way when you're approaching an employer that you do have that exposure. You do know how to navigate electronic medical record system. Just that alone will give you that give you that to this field. So so it really is going back to this whole session of no job too small. It really is.
And don't limit yourself to, we talk about jobs in medical records and in the billing office. There's other departments that need people with coding knowledge too. I work in an internal audit department. Who'd have thought that a coder could be an internal audit? Our compliance department has a ton of coders. I have a friend she's a nurse too. She was a nurse and then got her CPC. She works for a law firm doing malpractice claims. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities out there.
Hey, with all of this said, it's not, it's still, we still see people getting a first coding job after being certified. It's not impossible. And
Absolutely.
I know those individuals. I think of our friend Matty Oaks Dowtree, and he hit it hard, and he was super tenacious. And being tenacious isn't just about submitting resumes. It's about being at your local chapter and being involved and networking with coders in your area, connecting with them on LinkedIn. Julie Garcia says, I was lucky to get into a billing company after receiving my CPC, but I was not paid like I am today, 5 years later. So even then, even if you get that first job, your role and path could change dramatically in 5 years. By the way, she says, I love coding and RCM. And that is just awesome to see people's lives change from this path.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I think the focus obviously here is those, I call them alternative roles, right? But like you said, Alex, yeah, we just had a young lady who matriculated through one of our programs here at AAPC, our boot camp programs. She transitioned from education. She spent over 20 years in the education space, decided that she wanted to do something different. So enrolled through our partner program with Baylor University. That's the school she attended, and enrolled in our boot camp program, both the billing and the coding. She sat for her billing exam. She passed the CPB. She then went on to sit for her CPC. She passed that. And she was able to land a coding job. She's a coder one at an oncology organization, actually. So even though we're talking about those alternative roles, I think it is important to stress that yes, those coding roles are also available. We see a ton of activity in the risk adjustment space, right? So it's absolutely attainable, it's absolutely possible, and we hear those stories on a daily basis.
I love
I
the fact
also,
that,
oh, go ahead, Carla.
oh yeah, I just wanted to say I love the fact that Alex brought up getting involved with your local chapter.
Mhm,
So
mhm, mhm.
many opportunities can come that way from just network. You know, it goes back to, it's always not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah.
It kind of even goes back to that.
Yeah.
Making yourself available, letting your local chapter officers and being involved with your local chapter and networking with other like professionals in your area will go so far. When they get an opportunity, when they have an externship or need some extra hands, they'll think of you. They'll think of that person that approached them at the meeting and said, "Hey, I'm a new CPCA, and I'm looking for work. I'm looking for an opportunity. I'm looking for a chance to get my foot in the door." That has been proven to be effective in all ways possible. So I love the fact, Alex, that you brought that up about the local chapter of the content. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add one thing. When it comes to education, right? Not all programs are created equal, right? And because they're not all created equal, the skill set may not be fitted for you to pass, but you still have knowledge to get in the door, right? And sometimes it's about, what happens with what you do with the knowledge, but do it with a smile regardless. I can't tell you, tangibility with people and smiling and acting like you like people, I don't care who you are. They're going to remember that they saw your teeth, right? And they're going to remember how you treated them or how you looked at them or that joke that you had. It's all about that. Oh, I think you would be good for, or I know somebody who. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that not all programs are created equal, but in the same breath, you still learn something because you took the time to go. Use what you have and learn how to like people and learn how to move forward regardless.
Hey, those positions that may not feel like a true coding job that puts you close to it, they may be like an externship. Hey, Corella, I'm throwing this out there because I know this is your baby. But but like it's really, and oftentimes or sometimes it may not be about what coding knowledge you have or can you do the job, but it's about can they fit into our system.
Mhm.
And Lee brought that up. Just, the personality, soft skills. Is this someone we want to invest in trusting our books and our revenue with?
But I think you also need to think about institutions that have, their mission, right? What's their mission? What's their vision? You need to understand that and really think, would I fit in that organization because of the mission they have, right? So, would I fit into, a clinic, that offers free services? Would I fit into a large academic center? Looking at the mission, looking at what they're really out in the community doing. So that's another piece of that. You may have all these great qualities, but maybe you don't align with that mission, right? For your own personal reasons, you have to take that into court as well, because you're not going to be happy whatever job you get in that organization. So taking a step back and understanding what the values are in that organization, the core values, the mission and the vision, I think are extremely important as well.
Yes. So many paths and so many great things can happen if you got to stay at it and not look at it with tunnel vision of it has to be this way. It can be many ways. Crystal Owens Tompkins, our friend from the AAPC Chapter Association Board of Directors. We love you, Crystal. Thanks for being with us today. She says, we just had one of our chapter members get hired for a job. A member posted on our Facebook page. Had nothing to do with Crystal, she says, but I celebrated her success and it was a chapter success. And that just, to me, shows that the opportunity may not be coming from applying to 200 jobs. It could be coming from being connected with the right people, being in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Something
The power
I
of networking.
say, oh, I'm sorry. Something I say to that point, Alex, is again, when I'm talking to students or members and getting your first opportunity and just being creative, like you said, it's the touch points. If I know, and when I career path, I do it in reverse, right? So when I'm 60, ready to retire, where do I need to be? And I work my way backwards. But with that, I would say, okay, I know I want to be VP of revenue cycle. When I'm leaning towards the end of my career, that's where I want to be. Go on LinkedIn, find that VP of revenue cycle. Ask that VP of revenue cycle if they're willing to talk with you for 5 minutes. You may get 25 people say no and one person say yes. All you need is that one yes. And ask them the questions that you want to ask, get their insight, get their feedback, get their recommendation. So leverage social media to do good. We see a lot of negative on social media. Leverage it to do good and to get to your goal is something that I would add when we're talking about networking and making those contacts or those touch points.
Awesome. I love it. I hope that we inspired someone today, maybe someone who's watching who has their CPCA or will be getting their certification soon. And I hope that this might give you perspective of the different options out there. So I guess in short, if you are still a student, you better be at your local chapter meeting. You better be on their chapter's Facebook page, the AAPC Facebook page, and connecting with anybody in the space, especially in your area that you can. But beyond that, be open to roles and really that's the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about. Those roles that may parallel in the office environment, a medical coder, like records, denials, things like that. So be open to all of the possibilities because the path can come many different ways, guys. So, hey, panel, I'm so glad that you guys were with us. Marita, always great to see you.
You too.
Maya and I are like we're just buds now, just hitting all the social hours together, Corella. And Amy, so good to have you on, and we look forward to getting to know you over your term on the NAB as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And Lee, as always, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Denny, who's been an awesome co-host today. Thank you so much. The weather's clearing up in Minneapolis, I could see.
At the moment, it's supposed to storm on and off all day long.
All right. Well, stay safe out there. And everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you. I think it's 3 weeks because the second week is a little bit later from this broadcast this time. So we'll see you guys the second week of August. Summer is winding down, and HealthCon Regionals coming up in San Diego. We hope to see you all there. Thanks, everybody.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.